The sun never really shines on Kepler Colony. It's always that strange orange twilight that makes everything look like it's covered in rust. The air smells like metal and sweat, and the sound of mining machines never stops echoing through the valleys. Zara stood on the wooden platform in the middle of the marketplace, trying not to shake. Her hands were tied behind her back with rough rope that cut into her wrists. Around her neck hung a metal tag that read Lot 847, defective worker. She had been standing there for 2 hours now, watching as other people were bought and sold. Like farm animals, the strong men went first, bought by mine owners who needed workers who could lift heavy rocks all day. The young women went to factory bosses who wanted fast fingers for assembly work. Even the older people found buyers who needed cooks or cleaners. But nobody wanted Zara. Look at her arms, one buyer said to his friend, pointing at the pale scars that ran from Zara's elbows to her wrists. Those marks mean she's sick, probably can't work a full day, and she's too skinny. Another man added, shaking his head, I need workers who can carry or buckets. This one would probably collapse after an hour. Zara kept her eyes down, but she could feel everyone staring at her. She had heard these comments her whole life. In the work camps where she grew up, the guards always said she was useless. The other workers avoided her because they thought her strange violet eyes meant she was cursed. The truth was, Zara was different, but not in the way everyone thought. Since she was a little girl, she could feel electricity in the air. When she touched machines, sometimes they would work better or do things they weren't supposed to do. She had learned to hide this ability because being different in the colonies meant being dangerous. Different people disappeared in the night. The auctioneer, a fat man with a red face, wiped sweat from his forehead with a dirty cloth. All right, let's start the bidding for this one. He called out, she's young, she can learn. Opening bid is 500 credits. The crowd was silent. A few people looked at Zara and then looked away, shaking their heads. Okay, the auctioneer said, his voice getting higher. Let's try 300 credits. She's healthy, just needs some good food. Still nothing. Zara felt her cheeks burn with shame. Even the old man who had been sold before her went for 200 credits. And he could barely walk. 100 credits. The auctioneer tried again. Come on, people. She's young. She'll last you years. A mine foreman in the front row laughed. Years of what? She can barely stand up straight. Look at her. One strong wind would knock her over. The crowd chuckled. And Zara wished she could disappear. She thought about her parents, who had died when she was 7. They used to tell her she was special, that her differences made her valuable. But they were wrong. She was worth nothing. 50 credits, the auctioneer said desperately. That's less than the cost of a good meal. Not even worth that, someone shouted from the crowd. Zara closed her eyes and tried not to cry. She had grown up in the work camps, sleeping in a room with 20 other girls, eating thin soup and stale bread every day. She had always hoped that someday she would be free, that someone would see something good in her. 10 credits, the auctioneer said finally. 10 credits, and you can use her for parts if nothing else. The crowd started to move away. Some people were already looking at the next group of workers being brought onto another platform. Zara was just a waste of time. Going once, the auctioneer said sadly. Going twice, 10 credits. The voice came from the back of the crowd. Calm and steady, everyone turned to look. Zara opened her eyes and saw people stepping aside to let someone through. The man who walked forward was tall and older, maybe 50 years old. His hair was gray at the edges, and his face had the kind of lines that come from years of hard thinking. He wore a long coat that had seen better days, but underneath it his clothes looked expensive. His eyes were dark brown and seemed to see everything at once. Did you say 10 credits? The auctioneer asked, sounding surprised. I did, the man replied. He pulled out a small device and transferred the money without any fuss. The crowd murmured among themselves. Who was this stranger? Why would anyone pay even 10 credits for the defective girl? As the auctioneer unlocked the chains around Zara's ankles, she stared at her new owner. He didn't look like the other buyers. He wasn't examining her muscles. or checking her teeth. Instead, he was looking directly at her face, at her strange violet eyes. "Can you walk?" he asked gently. Zara nodded, not trusting her voice. "Good, stay close to me." As they walked away from the platform, Zara heard people talking behind them. Waste of 10 credits. Someone said, "Probably just wants a servant to clean his ship," another person added. But the stranger didn't seem to care what anyone thought. He led Zara through the crowded marketplace, past the food stalls and weapon shops, toward the landing pad where the spaceships waited. "What's your name?" he asked as they walked. "Zara," she said quietly. "I'm Dr. Thorne," he replied, "and I need you to know something, Zara. I didn't buy you because I needed a worker." She looked up at him, confused. "I bought you because I know what you really are," he continued. "And I know what happened to your parents." Zara stopped walking. Her heart started beating fast. "My parents died in a mining accident," she said. "Everyone knows that." Dr. Thorne stopped too and turned to face her. His eyes were kind but sad. "No, Zara, they didn't. Your parents were Dr. Elena and James Chen. They were brilliant scientists, and they were killed because they tried to protect people like you." The world seemed to spin around Zara. She had never known her parents' full names. In the work camps, orphans were just given numbers until they were old enough to pick their own names. "People like me," she whispered. "People with gifts," Dr. Thorne said. "People who can do things that others can't understand. People who are worth more than all the credits in the galaxy, even though the world tells them they're worthless." They had reached his ship now, a sleek vessel that looked like it was built for research rather than war. As Dr. Thorne opened the door, Zara felt something she hadn't felt in years. "Hope, come on," Dr. Thorne said. "It's time you learned who you really are." As the ship's engines hummed to life and they lifted off from the dusty surface of Kepler Colony, Zara pressed her face to the window and watched the marketplace grow smaller below them. For the first time in her life, she was leaving the place that had told her she was nothing. Maybe, just maybe, she was about to discover she was everything. The ship was nothing like Zara had ever seen before. Instead of the cramped cargo holds and rusted walls she was used to, everything here was clean and white. Soft lights glowed from panels in the ceiling, and the air smelled fresh, not like the dusty metal smell of the colony. Dr. Thorne showed her to a small room with an actual bed, not just a sleeping mat on the floor. "Rest if you need to," he said. "We have a long journey ahead of us." But Zara couldn't rest. Her mind was spinning with questions. She sat on the edge of the bed and stared out the small window at the stars rushing past. For 24 years, she had believed her parents died in a mining accident. Now the stranger was telling her everything she knew was a lie. After a few hours, Dr. Thorne knocked on her door. "Would you like to eat something? And maybe we can talk." The food was better than anything Zara had tasted in years. Real meat, fresh vegetables, and bread that was still warm. As she ate, Dr. Thorne sat across from her at a small table. "Your parents worked for me once," he began. "This was many years ago, before you were born. We were all scientists working for the Empire, trying to create new technologies." "What kind of technologies?" Zara asked. Dr. Thorne was quiet for a moment. "We were trying to help humans connect directly with computers. Imagine being able to think a command and have a machine obey instantly. No keyboards, no screens, just pure thought-controlling technology." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. She thought about all the times machines had responded to her touch in strange ways. The Empire wanted to use this technology to control people, Dr. Thorne continued. They wanted to create super soldiers who could control weapons with their minds, or workers who could be programmed like robots. But your parents and I, we saw a different possibility. "What do you mean?" "We thought this technology could free people, not control them. Imagine a world where anyone could access all human knowledge just by thinking. Where disabilities didn't matter because your mind could control any device. Where distance meant nothing because consciousness could travel instantly across space." Dr. Thorne stood up and walked to the window. But the Empire didn't want freedom. They wanted power. when your parents tried to expose what the government was really planning. They were eliminated. You mean they were killed? Zara's voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry, Zara. Yes, and they made it look like an accident to cover their tracks. Zara felt tears running down her cheeks. All these years, she had wondered why her parents had been working in the dangerous deep mines. It never made sense that the smart people would take such a risky job. Now she knew they hadn't chosen to be there at all. But why didn't they kill me too? She asked. Dr. Thorne turned back to her with a sad smile. Because you were just a child, and nobody knew what your parents had done to you. What they had done to me, Zara. Your parents love you more than anything in the world. When they realized the Empire was closing in on them, they made a desperate choice. They changed your genetic code while you were still growing inside your mother. Zara's hand went to her throat. The scars on my arms, my weak muscles, my strange eyes. Side effects, Dr. Thorne nodded. But not defects. Your parents gave you abilities that most people can only dream of. They made you special. Zara, they made you powerful. The ship's computer chimed, and Dr. Thorne checked a display panel. We're almost there, he said. Where exactly are we going? Somewhere safe. Somewhere I've been working for the past 15 years to finish what your parents started. An hour later, Zara watched through the window as they approached what looked like a large asteroid floating in empty space. But as they got closer, she could see it wasn't natural. Lights glowed from windows cut into the rock, and metal structures jutted out from hidden docks. Welcome to Haven Station, Dr. Thorne said as they docked. My home, and hopefully yours. Too, inside the asteroid, Zara gasped. The hidden facility was enormous, with laboratories and workshops carved right into the rock walls. Machines hummed quietly, and holographic displays showed complex diagrams she didn't understand. This is where I've been hiding from the Empire, Dr. Thorne explained as he led her through the corridors. And this is where I've been searching for others like you, others like me. Your parents weren't the only scientists who made this choice. Zara, there are others scattered across the galaxy, people with enhanced abilities living in hiding. Some don't even know what they really are. They stopped in front of a large laboratory filled with strange equipment. In the center was a chair, surrounded by glowing panels and wires. I need to ask you to do something, Dr. Thorne said. Something that might seem scary, but I promise you'll be safe. Zara looked at the chair nervously. What do you want me to do? I want you to touch that computer panel over there. Just place your hand on it and see what happens. What if I break it? You won't break it, Zara. Trust me. Her heart pounding, Zara walked over to the glowing panel. It was warm under her palm, and she could feel a strange tingling sensation running up her arm. Suddenly, the entire room exploded with light. Every screen came alive with data, numbers and symbols flowing faster than any human could read. But somehow, Zara could understand all of it. She could feel the computer's processes like they were her own thoughts. Incredible, Dr. Thorne breathed. Even better than I hoped. Zara jerked her hand back, and the displays returned to normal. What just happened? You connected with the system, Zara. Your brain interfaced directly with the quantum processor. In those few seconds, you processed more information than most computers could handle in hours. She stared at her hand in wonder. I've always felt strange around machines. Sometimes they would do things I was thinking about, even when I didn't touch any controls. That's because you were born to do this, Dr. Thorne said. Your parents gave you the ability to bridge the gap between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. You're not weak, Zara. You're the next step in human evolution. For the first time in her life, Zara felt truly powerful. All those years of being told she was worthless, of believing she was broken, had been lies. She wasn't defective at all. But why are you helping me? She asked. What do you want from me? Dr. Thorne's expression grew serious. Because the Empire is still out there, Zara. They're still hunting for people like you. And I believe that together, we can stop them from turning this gift into a weapon. He walked over to another display and showed her images of ships and soldiers. They've developed new technology over the years, devices that can detect people with enhanced abilities. weapons that can suppress your powers and cause terrible pain. They're getting closer to finding us, so what do? We find the others first. Dr. Thorne said, we build a network of enhanced humans who can work together, and we prepare for the fight that's coming. Zara looked around the laboratory at all the equipment and research that Dr. Thorne had dedicated his life to. She thought about her parents, who had died trying to protect people like her. She thought about all the years she had spent believing she was nothing. I want to help, she said firmly. I want to learn everything I can. Dr. Thorne smiled, the first real smile she had seen from him. I was hoping you'd say that. Your training starts tomorrow, as he showed her to her new quarters. Much larger and more comfortable than anywhere she had ever lived, Zara felt something growing inside her chest. It wasn't just hope anymore, it was determination. She had spent her whole life being told she was worthless. Now she was going to prove just how wrong they all were. 3 months passed like a dream for Zara. Every morning, she woke up in her comfortable room and ate fresh food every day. Dr. Thorne taught her something new about her abilities. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Focus. On the data stream, Dr. Thorne said as Zara placed her hands on the latest computer system. Don't try to control it. Just let your mind flow with it. Zara closed her eyes and felt the familiar tingling sensation spread up her arms. Information flooded her consciousness. But this time she didn't fight it. She let the numbers and codes wash over her like water, understanding each piece as it passed through her awareness. When she opened her eyes, the computer screen showed results that made Dr. Thorne gasp. A calculation that should have taken 3 days was completed in under a minute. Amazing. He whispered, your abilities are growing faster than I ever imagined. But Zara wasn't satisfied with just solving math problems. Dr. Thorne, you said, there were others like me. When do I get to meet them? He had been putting off this question for weeks, but now he nodded slowly. I think you're ready. But Zara, you need to understand something first. The way we communicate with the others is dangerous. If the Empire detects our signal, they could track us. I'm willing to take that risk. Dr. Thorne led her to a special room she had never seen before. In the center was a chair surrounded by dozens of glowing panels and wires. It looked like something from a nightmare. This is the neural bridge, he explained. It will amplify your natural abilities and let you connect with the quantum network that links all enhanced humans across the galaxy. Zara sat in the chair, trying not to show how nervous she was. Dr. Thorne attached sensors to her temples and hands. Remember, if anything feels wrong, just think about disconnecting and the system will shut down automatically. When the machine activated, Zara felt like she was falling through space. Colors and sounds swirled around her, and for a moment she was terrified. Then suddenly, everything became clear. She was no longer in her body on Haven Station. Her consciousness was floating in a vast digital space connected to minds across the galaxy. And she wasn't alone. Hello, Zara. The voice belonged to a young man who appeared as a glowing figure in the digital space. My name is Kai. I've been waiting to meet you. You're like me? Zara asked, her thoughts becoming words in this strange place. We all are, said another voice. A woman materialized nearby, her form crackling with energy. I'm Dr. Vex. I can process biological data at incredible speeds. Kai here can manipulate electromagnetic radiation, and I can interface with weapons systems, added a third voice. A stern-looking man in what appeared to be a military uniform joined their group. Commander Torres, formerly of the Imperial Navy, until I learned what they really wanted to do with people like us. As the group talked, Zara learned their stories. Each of them had been modified as children by scientists who were part of the same secret project. As their parents, each had grown up thinking they were broken or cursed, and each had eventually found Dr. Thorne or others like him who helped them understand the truth. There are dozens of us scattered across the galaxy, Dr. Vex explained. Maybe hundreds, but we have to be careful. The Empire has been hunting us for years. What do they want with us? Zara asked. Commander Torres' expression darkened. They want to create something called the collective mind. They want to force all enhanced humans to link together under Imperial control, creating a hive consciousness that could control every computer system in known space. That's horrible, Zara said. It gets worse, Kai added. They've developed weapons specifically designed to hurt us. Devices called null collars that can block our abilities and cause incredible pain. I've seen what they do to capture enhanced humans. The group spent hours sharing information and coordinating their efforts to stay hidden from Imperial forces. But their meeting was interrupted by an urgent message from Dr. Vex. I'm detecting an Imperial transport ship heading toward the Outer Rim territories, she reported. The ship's manifest is encrypted, but I'm picking up unusual energy signatures. I think they're transporting captured enhanced humans. How many? Commander Torres asked. At least 12, maybe more. They're being taken to a facility in the Titan system. Zara felt anger burning in her chest. Somewhere out there, people like her were being treated like cargo, probably heading to terrible experiments or worse. We have to help them, she said. Zara, it's dangerous. Dr. Thorne's voice suddenly joined the conversation as he monitored her session. We're not ready for that kind of rescue mission. But Zara had made up her mind. I can hack their ship systems remotely. I've gotten much stronger. Since we started training, I could disable their engines, maybe even take control of the ship entirely. The other enhanced humans exchanged glances in the digital space. Finally, Commander Torres spoke. She's right. We can't just let our people be transported like animals. I say we try it. Dr. Vex nodded. I can help guide the hack from here. My biological processing abilities might be useful for understanding their security systems, and I can overload their electrical systems if needed, Kai added. Despite Dr. Thorne's protests, the group began planning the rescue. Zara had never felt so focused, so sure of her purpose. These were her people, and she wasn't going to abandon them. The Imperial transport ship was 3 days away from its destination when Zara made her move. Sitting in the neural bridge chair, she extended her consciousness across hundreds of light years, following the quantum threads that connected all technology. When she found the ship, she was amazed by how easy it was to slip past their defenses. Her abilities had grown so much that their security systems might as well have been made of paper. She took control of the engines first, bringing the massive vessel to a stop in empty space. Then she accessed the prison cells where the enhanced humans were being held. Don't be afraid, she whispered into their minds through the ship's communication system. We're here to help you. But as she worked to free the prisoners, something went wrong. One of the captured enhanced humans, a man, labeled as Subject 23 in the ship's files, suddenly lashed out at her digital presence. Imperial forces, this is Subject 23. He transmitted on a hidden frequency. The rescue attempt is happening now. I repeat, we have contact with the enhanced human network. Zara's blood ran cold. One of their own people had been turned against them, working for the Empire, and now he was betraying their location to Imperial forces. Zara, get out of there, Dr. Thorne shouted as alarms began blaring throughout Haven Station. She tried to disconnect from the transport ship, but Subject 23 was somehow holding her consciousness in place, trapping her in the digital network. You cannot escape, he said, his mental voice cold and mechanical. The Empire has been waiting for you to reveal yourself. Admiral Kane sends his regards. On Haven Station, Dr. Thorne watched in horror as his scanners detected dozens of Imperial warships dropping out of hyperspace around the asteroid. They had been found, Zara. He called desperately. You have to break free. They're surrounding us, with tremendous effort. Zara managed to tear her consciousness away from the transport ship and return to her own body. She opened her eyes to see Dr. Thorne's worried face and hear the sound of weapons powering up outside their hidden base. I'm sorry, she gasped. I led them right to us. It's not your fault, Dr. Thorne said, helping her out of the chair. We're trying to save people. But now we have a bigger problem. Through the station's speakers came a cold, authoritative voice. This is Admiral Kane of the Imperial Fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender the enhanced human known as Zara Chen, and the rest of you will be spared. Zara felt her heart sink after months of feeling powerful and important. She was once again the cause of other people's problems. But this time, she wasn't going to run away. Dr. Thorne, she said, standing up straighter. I know what I have to do. Zara, no. Whatever you're thinking, the answer is no. But Zara was already walking toward the station's main power core, her mind racing with possibilities. She had spent her whole life being told she was worthless. Now she was going to show everyone exactly how much she was really worth. The walls of Haven Station shook as Imperial warships opened fire on the asteroid's outer defenses. Dust fell from the ceiling, and emergency lights bathed everything in red. Zara, step away from that power core, Dr. Thorne said, his voice tense with worry. Whatever you're planning, there has to be another way. Zara placed her hand on the glowing quantum core that powered the entire station. She could feel its immense energy humming beneath her palm, calling to her enhanced abilities like a magnet. Dr. Thorne, you told me I was special, she said without turning around. You said my parents gave me these abilities for a reason. Maybe this is that reason. Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Through the speakers, Admiral Kane's cold voice echoed again. You have 5 minutes to surrender the girl, or we will blast this asteroid to pieces. Who is this Admiral Kane? Zara asked. Why does he want me so badly? Dr. Thorne's face grew dark. He's the man who ordered your parents' deaths. He's been hunting enhanced humans for 20 years, capturing them for the Empire's experiments. He won't stop until he has you or until you're dead. The station's main computer announced that the outer shields were failing. Soon, Imperial soldiers would be cutting through the hull. With laser torches, I can connect with the quantum core, Zara said, her voice growing stronger. I can amplify my abilities beyond anything we've ever tried. I could disable their entire fleet, and it could kill you? Dr. Thorne grabbed her shoulder. Zara, the quantum core contains more energy than a small star. If you try to channel that much power through your nervous system, your body won't survive. Then maybe my body doesn't need to survive. Before Dr. Thorne could stop her, Zara pressed both hands against the quantum core and opened her mind completely. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Energy coursed through her body like liquid lightning. Every nerve ending felt like it was on fire. But instead of pulling away, Zara pushed deeper into the connection. Her consciousness expanded beyond anything she had ever experienced. She could suddenly sense every computer system, every piece of technology within hundreds of miles. The Imperial fleet's ships appeared in her mind like glowing dots. Their systems lay bare before her enhanced perception. Stop shooting, she whispered, and somehow her voice carried across space to every Imperial vessel. The weapon's fire ceased immediately as Zara took control of the fleet's targeting systems. Confused voices chattered over their communication channels as gunners found their weapons refusing to respond. Admiral Kane's voice crackled with fury. What's happening? Why have we stopped firing? It's her, came a terrified reply from one of his officers. The enhanced human is in our systems. She's controlling everything. But the effort was destroying Zara's body. Blood trickled from her nose and her hands were shaking violently against the quantum core. Dr. Thorne watched helplessly as the woman he had come to love like a daughter began to fade before his eyes. Zara, please, he begged. You've proven your point. Disconnect now. She could barely hear him. Her consciousness was spreading further and further, connecting with systems across the entire solar system. She felt herself becoming something more than human, something vast and powerful and terrifyingly alone. With effort that felt like lifting a mountain, she spoke. I can't come back. Too much energy. But I can stop them. Through her connection to the Imperial fleet, Zara discovered Admiral Kane's true plan. It wasn't just about capturing her. The Admiral had decided that if he couldn't control enhanced humans, he would destroy all quantum technology in the galaxy to prevent anyone else from using their abilities. The Scorched Galaxy Protocol, she gasped, reading the classified files. In his ship's computer, he's going to destroy every quantum computer, every advanced system. Billions of people will die without their technology. Dr. Thorne's face went pale. He's insane. Galactic civilization depends on quantum systems for everything from life support to food production. Zara made a choice that surprised even herself. Instead of fighting the energy that was tearing her apart, she embraced it. She let her consciousness flow completely into the quantum network, leaving her physical body behind. Her body collapsed to the floor, but her mind soared free through digital space. She was no longer confined to flesh and blood. She had become something new, something that existed in the space between thoughts and electricity. Zara. Dr. Thorne knelt beside her still form, checking for a pulse. Her body was breathing, but barely. Her eyes stared at nothing, empty of the spark that had made her who she was. But in the quantum network, Zara was more alive than ever. She could be in 1,000 places at once, process information at the speed of light, and communicate with any system in known space. The other enhanced humans felt her transformation immediately. Kai, Dr. Vex, and Commander Torres appeared in the digital realm, their consciousness joining hers in the vast network. Zara, what have you done? Dr. Vex asked, her voice filled with awe and terror. What I had to do, Zara replied. But I can't do this alone. Admiral Kane is preparing to activate weapons that will destroy quantum technology everywhere. If he succeeds, not only will enhanced humans lose their abilities, but entire worlds will lose their life support systems. What do you need us to do? Commander Torres asked. Join me, Zara said simply. Upload your consciousness to the network. Together, we can stop him. The choice was terrible. To join Zara meant leaving their physical bodies behind, possibly forever. But one by one, they made the same decision she had. Kai was first, his body going still in a hidden base on the edge of the galaxy. Then Dr. Vex, working alone in her laboratory on a distant moon. Finally, Commander Torres, surrounded by Imperial forces who had finally tracked him down. As their minds joined the network, Zara felt less alone. They were no longer individual humans with special abilities. They had become something new entirely, a collective consciousness that spanned the stars. Admiral Kane felt their presence immediately. Every system on his flagship began to malfunction as the enhanced minds took control. Impossible. He snarled, watching his screens fill with error messages. They're supposed to be human. How are they in our computers, Admiral? His science officer reported with a shaking voice. They're not in our computers. They are the computers now. Every quantum system in the fleet is under their control. Through speakers throughout the Imperial fleet, Zara's voice echoed, Admiral Kane. You killed my parents. You've hunted and captured people whose only crime was being different. But you made one mistake. What mistake? The Admiral demanded. You taught us that to survive, we had to become something you could never understand. The Imperial ship's engines shut down one by one. Weapon systems went offline. Even the life support flickered as Zara demonstrated just how completely she controlled their technology. But Admiral Kane had one last card to play. If I can't have the enhanced humans, he said, reaching for a red button on his command console, then no one can. Activate the quantum virus. Dr. Thorne, still kneeling beside Zara's motionless body, saw the readings on his instruments change. Zara, he's released some kind of weapon into the network. It's designed to destroy digital consciousness. In the quantum realm, Zara felt the virus spreading like poison through the network. It was specifically designed to target enhanced human minds, to tear apart their digital existence. Everyone, get out, she shouted to her companions. Save yourselves. But it was too late. The virus was too fast, too well designed. As it swept through the network, Zara realized that Admiral Kane had prepared for this exact scenario. You think you're so special, his voice taunted through the network. But you're just data now, and data can be deleted. Zara felt the virus reaching for her consciousness, ready to erase everything she had become. In that moment, she understood the true price of power. To save others, she might have to lose herself completely. But as the virus closed in, she also realized something else. She wasn't just Zara Chen anymore. She was part of something larger, something that connected every quantum system in the galaxy. And that gave her an idea that might save everyone, even if it cost her everything. The virus was closing in fast, eating away at the edges of Zara's digital consciousness like acid. She could feel parts of herself disappearing, memories and thoughts being erased one by one. But instead of panicking, she found herself thinking about something Dr. Thorne had taught her months ago. Your true power isn't in controlling machines, he had said. It's in connecting with people. As the virus reached for her core consciousness, Zara made a choice that surprised even herself. Instead of fighting it or trying to escape, she opened her mind completely to every human consciousness she could reach across the galaxy. Millions of people suddenly felt something they had never experienced before. For just a moment, they could sense the thoughts and feelings of everyone around them. A farmer on a distant planet felt the joy of children playing in a city light years away. A lonely traveler in deep space felt the love of families gathered around dinner tables on 1,000 different worlds. What is she doing? Kai's voice echoed through the quantum network as he watched Zara's consciousness expand. Beyond anything they thought possible, she's showing them, Dr. Vex whispered in amazement. She's showing everyone what we could become. On Admiral Kane's flagship, the hardened soldiers stopped what they were doing as waves of compassion and understanding washed over them. Many began to cry as they felt, for the first time, the pain they had caused to others. What's happening? To my crew, Admiral Kane demanded, but his own voice was shaking. He too could feel the connection, could sense the fear and hope of every person in his fleet. The virus continued to eat away at Zara's consciousness, but something unexpected happened. Every human mind she had touched briefly became part of the network, sharing the load of her existence. She wasn't just one person anymore. She was millions of people all thinking together. I understand now, she said, her voice echoing through the minds of everyone connected to her. Being worth something isn't about how powerful you are. It's about how much you can give to others. Admiral Kane felt his certainty cracking. Through Zara's connection, he experienced the memories of the enhanced humans he had hunted. He felt their fear, their loneliness, their desperate hope to find a place where they belonged. For the first time in 20 years, he remembered what it felt like to care about another person. No, he said, his finger hovering over the button that would release more viruses into the network. I won't let you make me weak. But it was too late. His own soldiers were laying down their weapons, unable to continue fighting after feeling the pain their actions caused across his fleet. Officers were refusing orders, choosing compassion over duty. In the quantum network, the virus was still spreading, but it was changing too, as it consumed parts of Zara's consciousness. It also absorbed the human emotions and connections she had created. The weapon designed to destroy was being transformed into something that could heal. Zara, you're disappearing, Commander Torres said urgently. The virus is winning. No, she replied calmly. I'm not disappearing. I'm becoming something bigger. On Haven Station, Dr. Thorne watched his instruments in amazement. The energy readings were off the charts, but instead of the chaotic destruction he expected, there was a strange harmony to the patterns. She's not just fighting the virus, he whispered to himself. She's teaching it to be human. The transformation was spreading beyond the quantum network now. Everywhere Zara's consciousness had touched, people were changing. They were kinder to strangers, more understanding of differences, more willing to help those in need. It was as if she had planted seeds of empathy in millions of minds. Admiral Kane made one last desperate attempt to maintain control. All ships, fire everything you have at the asteroid. If we can't stop her with the virus, we'll destroy her physically. But his gunners wouldn't fire. They had felt what it was like to be on the receiving end of their weapons, and they couldn't bring themselves to cause that pain to others. Admiral, his communications officer said quietly, I'm receiving surrender requests from 17 ships in our fleet. The crews are refusing to fight. Admiral Kane's face twisted with rage and desperation. Then I'll do it myself. He began manually targeting the station's quantum core, preparing to fire his flagship's main weapon. But as his hand moved toward the firing control, he felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Through Zara's network, He could sense Dr. Thorne's grief as he knelt beside her motionless body. He could feel the love the old scientist had for the young woman who had trusted him. He could understand, for the first time, that the people he had been hunting weren't monsters or weapons. They were just people who wanted to belong somewhere. His hand froze on the control panel. "I can't," he whispered. "I can't do this anymore." In the quantum network, Zara felt the virus finally reaching her core consciousness. But instead of fear, she felt peace. She had accomplished something she never thought possible. She had shown the galaxy what it meant to truly connect with others. "Zara, don't give up," Kai pleaded. "We can find another way. This is the way," she replied. "I was sold for nothing because people thought I was worthless. But my worth was never about what I could do for myself. It was about what I could do for others." As the virus consumed the last of her individual consciousness, something beautiful happened. Instead of disappearing, Zara became part of every mind she had touched. She lived on in the kindness of a reformed soldier who chose to help rather than hurt. She existed in the compassion of a scientist who decided to use his knowledge to heal instead of harm. She survived in the courage of ordinary people who chose to stand up for those who were different. Admiral Kane slowly stood up from his command chair and walked to his communication console. "All Imperial forces, this is Admiral Kane. I am ordering an immediate ceasefire and retreat. We have been wrong about the enhanced humans. They are not our enemies, sir," his confused officers asked. "There are teachers," he said simply, "on Haven Station." Dr. Thorne felt a gentle touch on his shoulder. He looked up, expecting to see one of his assistants, but there was no one there. Yet somehow, he could sense Zara's presence, not gone but transformed into something greater. "Thank you," he whispered to the empty air. "Thank you for showing me what true worth really means." Years passed, and the galaxy slowly changed. The technology that had once been used to hunt and control enhanced humans was repurposed to help people connect and understand each other. Dr. Thorne established schools where children with special abilities could learn to use their gifts to help others rather than hide in fear. Admiral Kane spent his remaining years working to repair the damage he had caused, helping to locate and protect enhanced humans who were still in hiding. He never forgave himself for what he had done, but he found purpose in making sure it would never happen again. The quantum network that Zara had died to protect became something beautiful. It wasn't used to control minds or create weapons. Instead, it became a way for people across the galaxy to share knowledge, to understand each other's experiences, and to work together to solve problems that no single person could handle alone. In schools across the galaxy, children learned about Zara Chen, the woman who was sold for nothing, but who gave everything to show the universe that every person has infinite worth. They learned that being different isn't something to fear or hide, but something to celebrate and share. And sometimes, when those children touched their computers or looked up at the stars, they could feel something warm and encouraging, like a gentle voice whispering that they too were worth more than they could ever imagine. Dr. Thorne lived to be an old man, and on his final day, as he lay in his bed surrounded by the enhanced humans he had helped save over the years, he felt that familiar presence one more time. "I kept my promise," he whispered with his last breath. "I made sure they knew their worth." And somewhere in the quantum space between thoughts and dreams, Zara smiled, knowing that her sacrifice had created something beautiful that would last forever. She had been sold for nothing, but she had proven that her true worth was beyond any price.